Hackmanic going straight for the quick supply. We got Area on Baller, so that seems to be a Wasp play in the making. Still saying with the training spec, that could also go into Wasps. And White Lobster with a giant spec, possibly a Fort Fan or Fort Mustang setup.
Oh, very much so. You know, with that White Lobster, I believe you said that. No, it was Hack Minic that was going the War Factories there. You know, maybe, just maybe, we'll see some out of Mr. White Lobster. Right now, we are currently spectating Mr. Steel Singh, the number one from our qualifiers here. He's got crawlers right there on the line, right to the face.
All right. So still saying, I think when we asked him a few questions before he joined the tournament, we asked him, what is your favorite part of the tournament so far? And he said, when I broke the player's game because of the amount of fan sets. So I wonder if he is possibly going into a Fort Fan setup this turn as well. We asked him if he has any specific plans for the finals. And he said, no, just going to try what works. And as for any rivalries or folks that he is looking out for in this FFA tourney, he said he doesn't want to reveal his cards. He wants to make it more interesting so that whoever his victim may be won't know what hit him. So we're going to have to see what he's got planned.
Yeah. On the right side, he's got Hackmanic. On the left, White Lobster. And across from him, Mr. Baller himself. Nobody went Rhinos turn one, and for some reason it said, you know what? We're going to flip it all the way around. I'm going to try to maneuver that a little bit more so we can stay on focus here with Mr. Steel Scene. We'll go into the later rounds with some aerial cams to make sure that we can view all the battlefield in its absolute glory. Right now, though, it looks like Mr. Steel Scene has cleared out his AI units and is heading straight for the towers. You know, those towers, you know, they're not as much, I believe, here in the beginning, but they still,
supplies.
Yeah, they're still worth a good bit of money.
In FFA, it's quite important to get that early momentum going with the towers so that you can start steamrolling your left and right side neighbors. And also a general strategy for FFA is that you don't want to get too ahead in terms of points in the early rounds so that you don't have to fight that slightly larger AI wave. One thing to point out is that the very first round, none of the 4 players actually called a Rhino drop directly towards the center tower. So they're all being very cautious. With the Rhino drop, sometimes it can backfire on you if one of the other players are calling the Rhino drop at the same time, because the Rhino will essentially drop on each other and cancel each other out, and then both of you are down 100 supplies.
And also getting your opponent's towers is also a nice way to earn that early econ as well. You know, they're not very defended, especially with, you know, Mr. Steel saying right there on the line, leave them very vulnerable and open to attack. Baller taking the lead with his little bit of Wasp play. The Wasp are already coming out turn one.
Speaking of the tower of your own, of your opponents, I actually haven't seen a lot of that, not even in the qualifier rounds. I remember when you and I play FFA together, you always mobile beacon a squad of crawlers straight to my tower, because in FFA you get a free mobile beacon straight out of the gate. So I'm quite surprised that that's not more common in this high level.
You know, folks are probably taking and reserving themselves a little bit here. You know, they want to take and get the most amount of points. And when it comes down to it, you know, making risky plays might not guarantee it. It might be, you know, for the memes there, you know, hey, I'm going to go get my left side or right side. But that can come and bite you later in the rounds when those unit drops come in. And, hey, you've got a worm that's getting beaconed now because you dropped a crawler on my flank.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Right now, we are seeing already Mr. Steel saying jumping straight into his strategy with the fortress.
He said no Wasp this time around. We're already countering it out the gate, and we're gonna beacon it straight down the middle towards that tower. Though I take and think that it might be too little units coming out for this round. We'll see how it plays out here, but that's a lot of units from the AI.
Alright, it looks like Steel Saint should be able to clear his wave no problem as long as his chaff clear is doing alright. And speaking of chaff clear doing alright, his arc light on the left hand side just died, which means the forts and the saber tooth are kind of stuck shooting at crawlers. That's extremely unfortunate for Steel Saint because I think he might want to start leveling up those forts. And oh, this is going to be a pretty rough round for Steel Saint. For someone that really needs the money to scale because he's not able to get the tower and he's not even able to really clear out his wave as his neighbor. Hackmanic is already coming in to take over his fortress. Alright, looking slightly towards the center. Alright, we already have units. I believe these are White Lobster's units, so they're coming in, they're picking up all the towers and yielding him a whopping 340 supplies in round 2, and that's a pretty huge deal.
You still don't want to be on top, and now you know he's got the lead by almost 500 points.
Alright, let's do a quick zoom around the map here and just to see what each players are going for. So Steel Saint, we already know what he's going for. He's going to Fort Fang. We have some very curious compositions. On the green side, we have triple Farseers and Mustangs. So we got like a Farseer Mustang situation going on. And of course, up north, Mr. Baller. No surprises there. Mass Wasp, Carry Wasp is a very potent strategy, so we'll continue to observe how that will develop into the rest of his units. And then, of course, on the right side, actually, no, on the top here, yes, that's Baller and Hackmanic with Mass Fans. So Hackmanic is going to clash very hard with Baller, whereas Steel Saint, right now I think he's kind of neutral. I'm not sure he is in direct conflict with any of his neighbors yet.
He's playing the long game here, and you know, when you get these guys to survive till end game, it takes and makes it a lot of points coming out if you can again, you know, make it to that end point.
Once again, Steel Saint getting stuck on chaff, and this is not good. This is the second round that Steel Saint has been struggling here. However, he will probably have one, if not two, fortresses still trying to make their way to the tower, but he will for sure not get the one that's closest to him, and that one is going to fall to Hackmanic.
Hey, even though, you know, as long as he can keep tapping away at these guys, each one's worth a little bit of points here and there. You know, every point counts right now.
All right, looking at the leaderboard here. So far, we have White Lobster in a pretty significant lead with his triple Farseer, double Mustang setup. Actually, triple Mustang at this point. So it is not a very conventional setup usually. I think Farseer is not a typical unit that would scale very well into the late game, especially a late game where for FFA, where you just have a lot of either a ultra high HP units or just ultra high quantity units composition. So I wonder if there's going to be some sort of pivot, because this could be a little bit rough in the later rounds. What do you think, Uncle?
I think, you know, when it comes down to it, I believe in the Steel Saint. You know, he's already countered out Mr. Baller across the street. You know, he's got a little bit of things going on the right-hand side with Mr. Hackmanic. But White Lobster is going to be the one that's been really given the pressure here. But then again, he's also facing the AI, which is, you know, a really strong, overbearing presence. We've got finally some more chaff clear and a little bit of chaff as well coming out for Steel Saint. So again, my money is on Mr. Steel Saint.
Absolutely. All right, Uncle, do you mind moving the camera just up a little bit? We've got a lot of white space down at the bottom of the screen here. Thank you so much. Okay, so Steel Saint he's not he's not getting the luck of the game right now. He's building big units, not enough chaff clear, and just so it happens we got level 4 hackers gunning at him.
Luckily, he did put out those fangs initially, so that helped out a little bit from his own units destroying himself. But those level hackers absolutely putting in work on his fortresses, making sure that they.
Speaking of hackers, we already have Hackmanic with hackers with his composition. So he is currently thinking 5 steps ahead. He thinks, well, on my right hand side, we have someone that's going mass wasp, so I'm going to go mass fangs. But on the left hand side, we got mass fortresses, so I'm going to counter that maybe with high level hackers. And I wonder if that's what White Lobster might potentially pivot into as well, because White Lobster right now has got these 3 level 2 Farseers, which may not necessarily scale too well into the late game, but he does have a ton of Mustangs, and Mustang Hacker is a viable composition in FFA.
The AI won out this round. Sometimes the AI can be a little overbearing. By a little, sometimes a lot. Especially when the hackers come out and sending your own units against you.
Alright, we're going to continue to keep an eye on Steel Sane, but we're going to start rotating counterclockwise because I'm very curious on the strategy here for White Lobster. Almost no large units except the 3 Farseers. The only tanky units he had at the front are these 2 Steel Balls, which means we're currently at round 5, which means there could be a round where he gets the Mega Experimental Vulcan. Right, and if you look at the score, he is so far ahead in the lead, so he'll most definitely be at the receiving end with some of the massive waves.
Those replicating crawlers actually put it in work. You know, there's nothing really out there other than those high-level crawlers from the AI that, oh my goodness, a level 8 coming out because, you know,
yeah,
why not?
Speaking of crawlers, I don't know if he can actually beat this. I mean, it's a little rough because level 2 or level 1 Mustangs shooting at level 8 crawlers from the AI with like 2200 HP. That's a lot of HP you have to remove. But the good thing is he does have replicate, which means the AI wave actually has almost no chaff here except for sledgehammers. All right, let's take a look back at Steel Sane here.
The worms have come out, which again, not doing too great because he's got spider mine spiders coming out, which is going to clear out any and all chaff that he may or may not have. He's definitely leveled up the forts, but it's a little bit too overbearing yet again. ChatGPT has put forth another win on his side as he engages with Mr. White Lobster.
But if you zoom out a little bit, one interesting maneuver that Steel Sane has been trying for the last 4 turns is that straight mobile beacon towards the tower with these 2 fortresses. It is an interesting move, but I think what ends up happening is that you're now in the center of everybody and you're getting attacked by everybody from all sides.
Yes, sir.
I mean, typically when you're mobile beacon towards the center, you want to do it with a fast-moving unit like Steel Balls so that you can actually get the tower. I feel like with these fortresses, they're just a little too slow. And by the time you do reach the tower, you're actually in a position that is being surrounded by all of your neighbors.
Leaving you open and exposed for all areas of attack. Now, Baller is really enjoying this wasp swarm because, you know, I'm sure he's got a tech or 2 on those wasps by now because he managed to pull through very closely, taking the lead away from White Lobster. But still, White Lobster's got to deal with that AI boss right out the gate.
All right, let's zoom out all the way here. So just give a quick glance around the board. Okay, so we can see Baller actually has a fantastic round ahead of him. He is going completely into air, yet his AI wave has almost no anti-air except maybe 4 marksmen. So he is being a pretty dominant position this round. Looking at Hackmanic. Hackmanic is in a hack-off with hacker on hacker action. I can't really say who will win, but we'll have to see. Looking at Steel Sane here, we got lots of high-level Vulcans, and they're just on a mobile beacon trying to get rid of the initial chaff. However, they will not be popping the shield unless these high-level Phoenixes get into work. And finally, looking at White Lobster, our current player in lead. He's up. He's actually not in a bad comp either, because these experimental marksmen are not great chaff there, and all he has is just these high-level Mustangs. So we have our north and west players doing fantastic. But wait, if you look at the top left here, we got a squad of wasps coming in, flanking the tower on the green player. However, he will not get the tower debuff though.
Hey, that's still 50 extra points locked in.
Yeah, looks like Baller is the one that's going to be sweeping across. Now, let me just check real quick. Who did get the Wasp? Who did summon the Wasp? We have Steel Saint and Baller. Both. Actually, no. Everybody except Hackmanic took the Wasp summoning card, so it could be any of the three.
Oh, and they get it off. And with that enhancement control, you know, brings it right back to full life. He's really given the hacking name to himself, you know.
Hackmanic is definitely no slouch. And the comp that he's playing, I mean, it's my favorite comp whenever I'm playing FFA. I'm always a firm believer that in a battle of attrition, the best way to win is to turn your enemy's units against themselves. So right now, the issue with these hackers is that, one, they don't have a lot of defense. They have a lot of chaff and a lot of chaff clear, but they themselves do not have a lot of defense in the form of shield bubbles. And also, he will have to deal with two neighbors or two immediate neighbors where the hackers themselves don't necessarily work right away. Because up north, we have Waspan. And then down south, we have Mr. Steel Saint with now a possible level 4 fortress, which means it will probably take a level 2 hacker the entire game to try to hack that fortress and fail. Now, what do you think of Steel Saint's build here, Uncle?
I think, like I said, when it comes down to it, it's a game of longevity. You want to make sure that you get those units lasting as long as possible. They're going to bring apart a lot of points when it comes down to that survivability. You know, Giants, Titan units, they are obviously worth the most amount of points. And, you know, just as it's working in 1v1s, the Fort Fang comp is very strong. I'm going to take a little drink of water here.
But the thing with Steel Saint is he's not doing the traditional Fort Fang, right? Your traditional Fort Fang has a heavier emphasis on the Fangs themselves. We will give them, and it will probably go wide because it's just a massive producing army that just kept producing little guys.
Oh, very much so.
In this case, he's actually choosing to go tall with high-level fortresses. So it's a little bit of a pivot. I think he's doing this mostly... One is because he's a little concerned about the hackers on Hackmanic's side. So if he stays with level 1 fortresses, chances are they are going to get taken away and turn on him. And then for 2, I think high-level fortresses also has a bit of more survivability against the mass Mustang build. The Wasp right now, we're not too worried about it. I mean, if you got 5 force, or if you got 10 force with AA, they'll probably do the equal amount of damage to the Wasp, which means the Wasp will all just die at the same time. I think what Steel Saint really needs right now is survivability, and he's certainly getting it. I mean, look at all these fortresses still on the board.
And we've got the Fang shield out, which is going to make sure that those Fangs take at least 2 hits, which really helps against these worms. But when they get hacked, they hack right behind those shields. So it kind of works as a double-edged sword, you know what I mean?
Oh boy. Maybe I spoke too soon about his high-level fortresses being difficult to hack, because at the end of the day, I think Hackmanic got every single one of them.
That he did. And everybody's starting to tighten it up. I still think Steel Saint's got it in the end, but it's just a matter of not winning earlier than round 10. Now, how do you feel about that intensive training this late into the round for Mr. Baller?
We're already at round 8, so unless there is something specific that Baller is going after, intensive training could be a slight waste of money, but he is going carry wasp, which means for every level he gets, especially the one that's got the improved fire control system, which is currently at level 6, if you can bump that little guy up to level 9 in the next 2 turns, I mean, that is a very difficult pack of units to stop.
Mm-hmm. Even with the anti-air from the forts, you say?
Absolutely. And curious, if you're looking at the center of the map, this is the round that everybody have decided that we're taking the center tower no matter the cost. We got double Rhino drop and a single Scorpion drop.
He's going to secure that tower there in the middle. He says, I don't care if you're going to drop your own Rhino. I'm going to have my guy down there. We're going to do a boxing match, and then the winner gets shot in the face by the Scorpion. You know. Really ensuring that victory there. But looks like there's going to be a bit of worm play coming down.
I actually do like the worm play for White Lobster. Is doing 2 things. The first thing is that it's moving away from this mass carry wasp situation. We're at round 8, which means these huge experimental units are now on the board, and they are on Baller's side. So, as an experienced FFA player, you don't want to get involved with the experimental unit whatsoever because you want to preserve your army strength. So in this case, White Lobster is just moving things over. Unfortunately, he did get tower, but it actually might work to his benefit because now his units are taking even longer to engage with Steel Saint's army, which means by the time they do engage, he will most likely have a slightly stronger army as Steel Saint's army tend to splinter into the right as well.
But with every second that passes, more Fangs come out and help protect these forts as much as they can. Those balls are putting in work. The worms are smacking them around. The Mustangs are tearing up the Fangs. We've got our side support coming in, but will it be enough? No! The tower goes down, thus weakening the army and pushes ever deeper into Mr. Steel Saint.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. We got a level 4 Sandworm with the portable shield and underground maintenance, which means every time it goes underground for about 3 to 4 seconds, it has the opportunity to heal all the way back to full.
But just as we saw, he's got to go underground in order to heal. Keep him up, keep him active, and keep him going. This
All right. So how's our end game looking here? So we got Mustangs left over on the board. We got 2 level 1 forts, which won't do much. And then we got a bunch of hackers with a hacked experimental fortress. Should be very close, but that missile barrage. But I think White Lobster will still get this one. Very nice. And this is what I love about FFA is that once you hit round 8 and round 9, it's just all hell breaks loose.
Very much
and
so.
The strategic play with the mobile beacon is extremely important here. I wonder if White Lobster is going to mass migrate all his units away from the experimental units or instead of just running into it. Looking at the units themselves, we have experimental marksmen with like 6 technologies. They're producing things. They have target locks. I mean, it's just a whole works here. Maybe I think he might just run into it. It doesn't really have a lot of good chaff there, so he might feel confident of just killing his wave. And remember, if you kill this AI units, you also get points. So White Lobster is currently in the lead, and if he can clear his wave successfully without losing most of his army, he might still be able to win this game with just points alone. Speaking of sneaky, a level 4 Overlord on the top left corner, just waiting to strike that tower.
That coming out of our good old friend Mr. Steel Saint, you think?
I have no idea whose Overlord that is until it warps in, but that's a very sneaky move.
That's what we like to see here in the Quad Core Carnage is, using whatever means you got to stop the person from winning that first place.
Can't have the tourney without a bit of carnage.
We're going to keep our focus on our boy, Mr. Steel Saint. He's added in some Phoenixes here to help clear out these guys a little bit more. I do want to see who that was up there. Why, it was our boy in blue. So that was Mr. Ballard pulling through that tricks on Mr. White Lobster.
Yeah, not exactly working out in his favor. I think he was hoping for a quick tower capture and possibly tanking with the Overlord, but it seems like Baller's Wasp are all but eliminated by those anti-air Mustangs. Now, I'm clicking through this Wasp. I wonder if that really high-level Wasp is still sticking around here. All right, it is. It's a level 7 Wasp with the improved power control system.
Will it be enough, though? Absolutely
Not at
decimated
all.
with
Not
all
at
of these
all.
guys. But our boys are getting hacked over here on the right side. We've got the hackers coming in. Will it be enough? Oh, towered at the worst possible time.
Tower debuff, though. Tower debuff. And they got the massive level 5 force, and I think this is going to be Hack Manic's game here.
We've got one round to go. It's still anyone's game. Possibly.
I don't know about anyone's game. I think this heavily favors Hack Manic. And I think this favors him because he started planning this starting at round 2. He noticed that there was going to be some sort of Wasp shenanigan up top, so that's why he's adding a ton of Fangs. And then he also noticed there's going to be some type of giant shenanigan down bottom, and that's why he started adding hackers. So he had the entire board planned out at round 2.
And you know, when you get those big AI on top of you, when you've got high-level hackers, those are basically saying those are going to be my units.
And that's typically how hacker comps win in the later rounds. Is that one? I mean, let me see his hackers. He's got a level 5 with item, a level 6 without an item. Yeah, they're all like level 5 or level 6s. So they're gonna lock onto these experimental Vulcans, and they're going to get them super quick. And since they already have the enhanced control, any hit point that was lost by the Vulcan's experimental property is going to be restored to full, which means these Vulcan will continue to fire alongside them. But wait, if you scroll up a little bit, you'll notice that Baller is up to no good.
He's doing what he does best, and that is making sure that everybody has a great time here.
Last game, Baller got completely annihilated by these AA Mustangs from White Lobster, so he decided, nope, not again, fool me once. I'm going to try the other side. So, will Hack Manic have enough fans to deal with this many wasps?
We're going to go ahead and throw in an automatic camera, which decides, hey, we're going to view it from blue side, because that's where the action is. So keep in mind, Red, Mr. Steel Sane, is walking ever closer in here. Hack Manic is doing what he can to hack these big boy units, which he gets the first one off, which these, Vulcans can actually fire in the air, but it does not matter. They go down absolutely quick as can be, because those wasps are murderous intent in their eyes. They're a bunch of angry Hornets that are just making their way through these units like paper mache. Though Mr. Steel Sane is pushing past, Mr. White Lobster said, hey, I'm going to avoid it this time. However, it does look like that we are engaging here right onto... the last volley went out. We've still got a bunch of Fangs coming out. But here's Steel Sane's lovely block of units pushing from the right. Mr. White Lobster coming in from the left. It's a clash of titans, but he says, no, we're going to send out a side unit to bust up the tower. Didn't matter. They were cleared out, lickety-split.
Oh, that's super unfortunate. I thought Baller did White Lobster a complete favor by allowing him to almost kind of move into the center uncontested. Because if Baller didn't move all his wasps over to engage with Hack Manic, then White Lobster may actually have a pretty rough time of winning. But yeah, I mean, I thought White Lobster had a real shot there, but it turns out Steel Sane was just a little too strong. All right, so we're just waiting the lobby here, and we're gonna give you a little bit more information on the players. And this time we're going to talk about Baller. So when we asked Baller, what's your favorite part of the tournament so far? And he specifically said the favorite part was going up against White Lobster in all of the 3 games in the qualifier rounds. So I think there was some sort of rivalry here between Baller and White Lobster, and they are in the same game once again. So I'm looking forward to see that rivalry play out. When asked any specific plans for the final matches, he said the plan is to go Wasp carry in the final matches, and he is certainly true to his words. He did go Wasp carries. And for any rivalries, he said, I'm specifically looking out for what Steel Saying will do. His fan board in one of the games was crazy. Okay. He did have a chance to face Steel Saying, but they were cross board, which means they didn't really engage until the final part of the rounds. And here, Baller is not against Steel Saying, but he is against White Lobster. So we'll see what happens. And they happen to be neighbors. All right, to start off the round here, we have Baller with the Sabertooth and already round 1 Wasps. Showing his hands nice and early, he said, I don't care. This is what I'm going to go with. Deal with it. And let's take a look at the neighbors. On the left-hand side, we do have Hack Manic starting off with something that is very similar to what he was doing in the first game. Mass fans, tarantulas with a pivot into hackers. On the right-hand side of Baller, we have his rival, White Lobster, but he is just starting with crawlers and some storms, so not yet prepared for what's to come with the Baller composition.
I think there's literally no anti-air other than maybe a small pack of fangs there on the left-hand side to help deal with this. Those wasps are going to run free and gain a lot of EXP. If not, take the round itself.
All right, Baller and Wood are definitely ahead in terms of the supply gain for this round. With Baller, I think in a slightly better lead because now there's no more anti-air, which means these wasps are not only going to clear up most of the units. Oh, actually, no, we do have a defense, so that might actually clear up these wasps. But it's going to give them quite a lot of experience. They're almost leveling just after the first round.
With that loss of that tarantula, that is a bit of a hit, but still keeps him in first place. Baller deciding to go with the Fire Badgers. We've got Sledgehammers, Phoenixes. What will White Lobster pick?
Then the Fire Badgers are a great choice when you're going Wasp carry, because one of the biggest threat for your Wasp is your Chaff Clearer. He does not run high explosives on the Wasps, which means if he ever runs into a board with lots of crawler, lots of fans, he's in big trouble. And these Fire Badgers will serve the purpose of both tanking and clearing out what's in front of them. And once again, if you're looking at the Greens board, this is almost exactly what he played against Baller last game. He's got tanks on his edge side. No, not Greens board, sorry. I'm looking at the Hack Manix board. Sorry, that was the player that went Hacker, Fang, Tarantula, and Tank at the top. So this time he's putting tanks at the bottom. It's curious because the tank's only purpose is to provide some sort of meat shield against these wasps so that the fans can actually shoot them down. So rinse and repeat because it worked, and we'll see if this time it works just as well. Now, Uncle, you're a wasp player, right?
No. Again, I only go marksman. It is typically the play that I like to make. It's just a matter of what mix-ins that I get from those unit drops. Speaking of unit drops, if those unfamiliar with the new recent changes coming to Mecha Bell and Free For All, there's going to be drops in items every round. So we have a a flank from behind on Mr. Baller. A couple of crawlers coming in from Mr. Wu.
Ooh.
Tower and a
I wonder what Wood has against Baller. I mean, Wood is all the way across the map there.
He also, took that tower right from underneath them, saying, you're not going to get nothing this round.
Oh, and Wood is taunting Baller in the chat. He's saying, easy towers. So I'm going to guess this move has nothing to do with gaining the advantage in the game. And has everything to do with the rivalries outside of game.
I would believe so. Only going to take a missile or two to clear that up, or maybe even just one fire badger. But hey, nevertheless, it does affect Mr. Baller's capabilities. He could have took this round away, with that many amount of wasps on the field, still making about 300 points or dollar dues here.
So I'm not a very good FFA player, but I also like to spam marksman. I just felt like it was so fun to see, 20 marksmen lining up and just
Shooting
start
squad,
picking
baby.
things off from 200 meters away. One thing I haven't seen in this tournament is marksman spam. Is that just not a good strategy at high level because of the existence of wasps?
It's more so actually the worms. It used to be like before worms were introduced, like I was actually in the top 100 FFAs there a long time ago, that is, probably June or so. But before those worms came into play, you could spam wasp or marksman all day. Once those worms get up in the face, it's very hard for even an electromag marksman that's like level up to deal with those worms. Because again, your main thing about it is the range. Range is king in free for all, unless again you've got a big worm that's about to smack you upside your face.
That is true. All right, Mr. Baller continues to just keep adding these wasps now with one technology with range. And there's no really anything to stop him just yet. He's got wasps now behind the tower to deal with his crawlers. These wasps will take a little bit of time, which means they will not be joining the army as early as they can, and they probably won't get as much experience. Looking at his neighbor on the left here, Hackmanic, he is doing exactly what he did before, so now adding Mustangs, but he is not adding hackers yet. And looking around the board here, I think that makes a lot of sense. There really isn't a lot of high HP units for him to hack just yet, which means the Mustangs themselves will probably serve him quite well into the Wasp and also into the crawlers from this north.
Now this worm is teched for air, so it is doing what it can, smacking those up. Apparently the crawlers were still able to get in and take that tower, which hurts.
That hurts.
Very much so.
That hurts a lot.
Oh man, he is relentless in his wasp hunger.
That hurts a lot, and we can see why it hurts by looking at Baller's supply count this round in comparison to some of his other competitors.
Woo actually running the course, getting an extra 100 by taking out at least, one of the towers at 50. But I'm sure he's gone ahead and played it through on his adjacent side.
I really hope more players in FFA would try these sort of shenanigans. I think this is a really powerful way of just getting some quick cash, right? For example, that crawler 100 supply unit already earned his money back by taking the tower down twice. And not only you take the tower down, you mess up with the player, and in this case, it's the player that is directly opposite of him, which means is the player that he's more likely to face at the very end of the round. So he's trying to weaken his distant enemy by using some very cheap tactics, and it's working. So I love it.
Hackmanic taking the lead here means he's going to be facing down the AI. Probably not this round, as we just saw the AI boss come out for Mr. Baller. But that takes a lot of pressure off Mr. Baller, at least to deal with the stuff in his flank.
I wonder if Baller will just end up putting down a single Fire Badger, or maybe even two Fire Badgers. But instead, he decided to just upgrade the tower, giving the Wasp a little bit more time to clear out these crawlers.
Very much so. He's also getting smacked with Electromag, which I can almost guess, yes, that is indeed coming from Mr. Wu, who has a vendetta against Mr. Baller here.
Yeah, but I feel like the tower is going to be, it's mostly just a band-aid solution. Wood has played this exact strategy in the qualifier, so we're at round 4. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taking the first tech at round 4, or he's double teching on round 5, taking Replicate as well as Mech Rage on his crawlers. Once you get those two techs, I mean, even with level 2, towers is not going to stand for long.
We've got a huge Rhino coming in here, level 4. He's gonna have a couple of ground units to go through, but he's pathwayed straight to that tower. Even though she is leveled up, I mean, he's hitting 13k a punch. It's not gonna stay up too long. Me myself, even though it is a $50 investment, I do like throwing a missile like right there, just to help prevent it from going all that much more.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Uncle. Without moving the board, I'm going to give you one guess what Hack Manic is doing.
Okay, I'm going to go with balls and crawls and probably some stangs. It's been a real forward-pushing unit composition just to get that early investment, you know, get on those towers as quick as possible to secure you even more, so economy.
Well, not quite. So let's pan over to Hack Manic's board on the left.
Oh, why would I even think otherwise? Why, my boy has gone hackers, and he says, duly noted. Yeah. I myself
This time, though, he doesn't have those juicy forts that he had, you know, that was lining up for them to be hacked. And instead, he's going up against worms coming in from Woot. I wonder if the hackers are going to do just as well into worms as they did with hackers. What do you think, Uncle?
I think, you know, if you can get enough, you know, chaff right in front of it to slow down them worms, and you get enough levels on that hacker, ain't nothing going to stop those hackers. Other than air, which, you know, Baller's got plenty of. Looks like a unit drop coming in. We've got some rhinos, some overlords. We should almost guarantee we know what's coming out of Mr. Woot here. What about you? What do you think Mr. Woot's going to pick here? If the choices is Overlords and Scorpions and 2 others.
I think the Overlord makes a lot of sense for Woot. I mean, his current only anti-air is a single pack of... No, he's only anti-air of 2 Phoenixes.
Oh.
Surprisingly, he actually got the Scorpion. I wonder if he's just using the Scorpion as a big cannon to deal with the War Factory up front, and then potentially selling it after, because the Scorpion itself is really more of a liability than an asset. Not only that it doesn't complement his army, which is a very fast-moving melee-heavy army, it's also very susceptible to be hacked by his neighbor.
Or just even the AI right there, level 5 hacker just staring him down. The same with, like you said, Mr. Hackman, just going to town with those hackers. Although we've got even more boats coming out with the Wasp production. He said, "I'm gonna finally actually respond to this, and we're gonna put a missile down here. Tired of all these darn crawlers." But you know, that's all. Again, you know, you put those $200 unit right there, bada bing. You've just cost him $50 and gain whatever you can try to push through.
Speaking of missiles, why don't you go all the way up to Woot's board and see how many missiles he's got?
Oh my gosh, he's already taken out that front row of chaff to ensure his crawlers get in.
7 missiles in one round, Mr. Woot, and most of it was probably just scared of Baller from dropping in even more Wasp all the way in his back line. I think Woot is fully prepared for Baller to take revenge on those crawlers that he himself put on his line. So
it's sort of that late game. Yeah, it's sort of that late game anticipation. You know, I sent a crawler your way round 1 or 2, and then you're like later down the line, hey, remember that crawler you sent there? Well, we've just put all of our Wasp on your back line. Good luck, GG, have fun.
All right, we've got a pretty interesting convergence of units here. Hackmanic is going to get that high-level Scorpion, and the army is moving northward. There are a few Mustangs left over, but not quite to stop this armada coming in from Baller, and there's barely any, if any, anti-air left on the ground. So it's going to be a very convincing round for Mr. Baller here.
They're chasing it. They're chasing it. That level 8 ball is just absolutely tanky as all get out. Though there is nothing to get it, it's just going to sit there and just tank everything until she's gone. And that's
Now,
a
Baller is now going to be in the lead, and we are getting into round 6. So we're going to be starting to see some of these scary experimental units quite soon. One thing to note is that the Baller's boats do not run jump drive where the Wasps do. Now, last game we saw that final moment jump drive Wasp just trying to take out his neighbor, I believe. It was Hackmanic last game. But this game, with his boats being developed across the board evenly, he wouldn't be able to do that if he just jumps the Wasp, with leaving the boats to fend for themselves.
He continues to respond to these crawlers. He really does not like them being in his back line there.
And here are the Fire Badgers.
That's another $400 investment for these 3 crawlers in the back. Again, something that really continues to be something that pokes and prods and takes away from your opponent's ability to push forward.
You know, I'm really liking this game. Typically, when we're casting FFA, we focus on the main player and his left and right side neighbors. But this game, the rivalry across the board between Woot and Baller is far more interesting. I think these two players are just trying to get each other out of the game.
And still, we've decided to, speaking of which, throw a Wasp out there. But, you know, Woot has already prepared for some sort of interaction, to say the least, and has a missile right directly on her to ensure that that doesn't get very far. Sort of evening up that response there.
Absolutely. All right. Now, speaking of left and right neighbors, Baller is not in a very comfortable spot with both of his immediate neighbors going with heavy Mustang production. One of them is already taking anti-air on the left-hand side with Hackmanic, but on the right-hand side we have armor-piercing bullets, which is also very good into Wasps. So it's not looking great for a Wasp spammer here. I wonder if the boats themselves will be able to carry, but it looks like these Mustangs might be just a little too much.
Yeah, once they get the lock on, there isn't much left to do, but that Fire Badger is trying to help thin them out a little bit there. But again, that anti-air is just absolutely devastating when it comes to being pincered like that. Hackmanic taking every bit of the way.
And this is where you really see the power of the hackers, because hackers is one of those units that the longer the game goes, the more value they get. If all of your opponents has got steel balls, Mustangs running towards at full speed and ends the battle in the first 10 seconds, then your hackers are pretty useless. But if it goes on for 60 seconds, your hacker's going to pick up a lot of buddies along the way. We're getting down to round 7, and this is where the player's starting to try all kinds of shenanigans with mobile beacon, with ability call downs, with technology purchases. So we really need to keep an eye out all the way around the board. One thing I'm super surprised is that Woot actually kept that Scorpion for the last 2 rounds. I really thought he would have gotten a lot better deal. And there it is.
Speak of the devil.
Speaking. There is the sell on the Scorpion.
And he's gonna,
because I feel like that Scorpion has done nothing except to help Hackmanic's army.
he's just really helping out his friend over there.
That's right.
Speaking of which, we've got these hackers going on level 4s. We got marksmen to support them from afar. Also at level 4, it's pretty much a counter straight up to Mr. Baller's side here. We're going multi-melt on the melting points, trying to get them out and about to make sure that they're going to hit all those chaffs and all the worms that are coming their way from Mr. Wu. And we are continuing to go down that pathway with more Wasp and Overlords. I see that they got another tank on there with the chin gun. And we didn't really tech any of these fortress here. We're just going to keep them here as a big old tanky units. Hopefully they do that job in and of itself, but we'll have to see.
It's interesting to watch this game because both of his adjacent neighbors are doing things a little differently than what they did last game when Baller did not run these Overlords. One thing you notice is that Hackmanic did not spam Mustangs. In fact, he only has 3 squads of Mustangs because he believes most of his wasps will probably be gone by the time they reach him. And what's really important is to have units to deal with his overlords. While as the White Lobster is having the same thought, investing into multi-melter, which is really good into Mothership overlords having the ability to kill both the wasps as well as the overlord themselves. So it's just a treat to watch these players making tiny tweaks. I mean, they're still pretty much playing the exact same comp, but tiny tweaks based on what they already know about their neighbor.
Yes, sir, indeed. And it looks like Hackmanic is going to town, doing what he does best, and that's taking units for his army. He's really good at sweet talking the opponents into joining his cause. So, bada bing,
Yeah, and it
bada
looks like
boom.
history is repeating itself. Hackmanic once again is in a commanding lead. From round 1, we noticed that the players themselves actually united, formed kind of an alliance in the final round, right? Everybody's trying to rush Hackmanic, trying to bring his points down, but he is just not giving up. I mean, with these high-level hackers, even though there aren't a lot of giants except those sandworms for him to hack, if you can get these guys to level 4, level 5 by round 7, you have the option to get those experimental units, and that's really where the true value of these hackers lie. Now let's see if any of the other players, I mean, he's the one player that nobody bothered to flank, and I'm quite surprised.
Oh,
I mean, if I were Baller, and I've been playing this game with Hackmanic once already this time, you know, I definitely want to put something in the back. And speaking of something in the back, it is going to be White Lobster with 2 squads of replicating crawlers, trying to stall the Mustangs just a little bit. And we'll see if that pays out for him.
I don't know. There's some pretty high-level crawlers coming in, and they are fast and they hit hard. We'll see if they've got enough to defend it. I mean, those tarantulas are doing good, but they don't got the HE tech on them. They're really only good for that air defense.
Normally, I see a level 7 crawler, I just drop a missile. I don't want to deal with that at all. And yeah, I mean, he's very confident with his chapter, so let's see what happens. Mr. Baller continues to go with this wasp situation, but he's definitely not getting mileage he's looking for.
Yeah, they're not quite leveled as they were last turn of going on. And while the hackers are trying to get in, they've got one worm. He's trying so hard to get in there and grab the other one, but he's gotten towered right now. Oh, and they're moving in. Just a little bit left. He got another worm, but there's still one that remains. He's finishing out his mobile beacon accent, but he gets towered yet again. Though those worms do some magic here and there. But the last hacker is about to go down in about 3, 2, she's gone. Leaving Baller to play cleanup here against this half HP worm, while still dealing with Mr. White Lobster coming in from the right-hand side.
A stroke of genius here from Baller, taking the 3rd tech on these few fire badgers at the front line, which is napalm, and it has effectively stopped pretty much all the Mustangs on both sides. So if you compare the end game for this round versus the previous round, he almost has his entire armada, and that is simply because of the napalm killing most, if not all, of the Mustangs on the ground.
Fantastic work. You know, if you're dealing with a lot of Mustangs, war crimes is the way to go. Throw as much fire on the ground as you can. And with that, wow. It's anybody's game, folks. Anybody's game. But the death knells are coming out. Old Big Ben, as I like to call him. Which, you know, surprisingly, I have not seen a unit drop with the death knells in any of these 2 games. They're pretty frequent as of late.
Not yet, but we still got one more round left, so hopefully we can, you know, we'll pray for appearance by Mr. Death Note here. We're getting to round 9, so we're like two rounds away, and right now I feel like Hackmanic really needs to do something to get his advantage back. I mean, if he plays this card right, he doesn't need to go into the final round. But this is very dangerous because Baller is at 7,200, and if he clears his entire wave, I believe it will push him over 8,000. And that's very dangerous.
Oh, very
So
much.
if you're the other players, your goal should be to distract Baller as much as you possibly can with flanks, with ability call downs, with oil. Oil would be fantastic. I mean, actually, no, it would not, because Baller has no ground units. But anything you can do to distract him so that the Baller would die by these death downs.
And now
Otherwise, he'll just straight up win after he clears this wave.
Hackmanic said, "No, we're getting the hell out of Dodge here," and he's gonna dip out, going north towards Mr. Wu. He wants those worms rather than dealing with all that air superiority. Ooh, but a dead center hit on that with the Electromag is going to do some pretty good amount when it comes to this death now. They're protected by shield.
It's
Baller
the
was not.
multi-team death now. Oh, everything just died.
Very much so. Oh, man. He's still got that huge shield, which those shields, I don't know if you know, but they're 100,000 per level. So this is a 400,000 shield on top of a 500,000 HP unit. That's a lot of cheddar. And with that tower, I don't know.
Oh, Hackmanic getting very close. Is there still any AI unit? No. Oh, getting so close to that 8,000 mark. Just a few points away. And still with a massive army. I mean, Hackmanic right now just needs to deal with his worms, but he's got his high-level hackers, so hopefully he can snatch a few of these melting points.
He is running wild.
And I think that's going to be it. I think Hackmanic might be able to take this game right here, right now, without having to go to round 10. We're going to have to see how the hacker, just
very
taking
much
away
so.
these sandworms. My goodness, what a final round. And a ton of points, too. 10,405 points. That is going to bump him all the way up to the top of the leaderboard. Well, so far we haven't casted a Diana game, so I'm very much looking for what Diana has to offer. She was the top FFA player for quite some time, so and she's currently in a very close second. Hackmanic, we kind of already know where he's gonna go. He's been doing the same thing with great success for the last 2 games, so it's no surprise to expect another hacker game. But for Diana, I'm not exactly sure.
Let's go ahead and spectate her, since we've already spectated Steel Sane. We've got Woot and Baller in game here, so expect that rivalry to play out as well. And to the right we have or left we have Steel Sane. On the right we have Woot and Baller on the adjacent.
Now, Uncle, what are your thoughts about having units all the way on the line here versus units that are closer to the tower in FFA?
So there's 2 things with it. It's got a pro and con with it. When it comes to going and having that right there on the line, it makes it for you getting that quick econ. If they can push through the units right there, they're on that tower like that. And that means you're going to get that extra money, that econ. Now, when it comes to getting into first place and you have units right there on the line, you're right on the face of good old Mr. AI. And it doesn't bode so well, at least in my regards. I like having a little bit of wiggle room as far as it goes. And then I do what you're seeing already happening here in the middle, the Rhino drop. You get it in the first round or so. It is $100, but you get that several times throughout the game. Usually round 1 means you get it again several times, ending out on round 9, which means you get just that little bit more econ. And he's going in.
Wow. Woot winning that Rhino drop here. Completely destroying Steel Saint's Rhino. Diana at round 1 already double Wasp on the ground with a lone. So she really wants to get this carry Wasp game going nice and early.
And right there, boom, an extra 50, out the gate. So there is paid a quarter of the way through. If we get this here tower, then it's paid halfway through with that loan. Can we get this tower? Oh, Marksman decided to shoot the crawlers now, which is going to give it opportunity to, yes, secure another 50. He's just shooting fish in a barrel at this point, but she gets towered as well, leaving it left to the remainder of the AI and Mr. Baller. who is
I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling too great about Wasp carry strategy today. I mean, we've seen 2 games so far where we had a single player that was just completely committed into Wasp carry, and that player did not win out in the end. I think the players themselves today are just extremely aware that this is a thing that was abused in the qualifier rounds, and everybody was just putting down early Mustangs. I mean, on the left-hand side here, for Steelsen, he's started with Mustangs, and I'm sure he'll continue to put down more Mustangs now that he's seeing Diana putting down the double Wasp and now quadruple Wasp here. And he's already seeing Woot with his Wasp as well. So I'm not feeling too good about Wasp carry today. How do you feel?
I mean, you know, when it came down to it for the qualifiers, they were out and present. It was a plague of wasps, the bees, you know. It was like that movie with Nicolas Cage where it's like, not the bees! And that's what came out and about of it. Everybody's trying to counteract that. But Diana says, you know what, we're going to push forward into it. You know, Mr. Baller last game was like, I don't care. It's what worked. We're going to make it work. I think, you know, you got to change up the strategy. You know, Hacker Man, you know, that's the play. Hackmanic is said, you know what, it works, and it works well. He's done the research.
Uncle, if you pan down to the right just a little bit, right and down,
oh,
you'll
no.
see some very juicy action going on.
Mr. Woot said, no. We're going to put a darn fortress right there on your flank.
Like a whole army right there.
Practically. This is like a bear-like play. You know all too well.
Oh boy. Woot has vacated his entire army. There's nothing left but 3 marksmen defending his actual battleground. And then he's moved every single thing over to Diana's board.
He was set out to troll, and troll he has. Anything goes in this tournament, so by all means, if you're going to flank, you've got to flank him well. Looks like the AI, though, beats him to the punch.
Didn't even get to tower yet.
We're going to continue watching as this guy gets off of that debuff, and that's going to be a nice chunk of change. Let's watch that money go up. Boom, $50 just for that unit. And the Wasp.
This is a sticky situation for Diana because Woot right now is at the number 8 place with only 3,000 points on the board.
He has
Diana
nothing to
is
lose.
actually trying to win the tournament here. So with Woot interfering all the way here in the back line, that's very problematic.
Indeed it is.
And this is the interesting dynamic that you get from FFA that you will not get in any other play modes, is that when you're in the later rounds and some of the players that knows they probably won't win the tournament, and then they just start trolling everybody, and whoever's on the receiving end of that troll is going to feel the pain.
It's frustrating, to say the least, there, Bob. No. Man, though, he has got a level on that guy. What is going to be what type of reaction would you place here to deal with this type of effect coming out?
I mean, it doesn't matter what do you respond with. You're going to have to invest army into fighting something that is not going to give you any immediate award, right? It's not like these units give you points similar to the AI units. So
very true.
It is going to cost you. So it becomes extremely annoying. And unfortunately, there is no FFA police or FFA referee here to say, this is a foul move. This is a perfectly legal move in an FFA tournament. It is just annoying.
Very much so. Very much so. I don't think anybody else is he's putting aside his differences with Mr. Baller. Baller is trying to focus on securing some wins here. And then, you know, Woot's decided, you know what, we're going to put an Overlord on there as well. It's not looking good. I think, you know, if in my approach here, you know, we've got the jump drive going on. I would start heading out of Dodge, just abandon all hope, and just start focusing into other avenues to help just, you know, really avoid this, because it's going to happen every single time.
Yeah, but Diana doesn't really have a good jump drive location. I mean, he could jump drive back to Woot, considering he's pretty much abandoned his entire base. So Diana can probably try the same. The issue, though, is that the flanking position for Woot and the flanking position for Diana is very close to each other. So their army will inevitably clash anyways, which means there's really no point, right? So she can either just ignore that entire area, or she can just continue to play the game. So I'm not sure. Either way, it's going to cost her, and she's definitely not going to be happy about that.
I mean, she's still pulling through despite the hiccups, the handicaps, and whatnot. 416 and growing as he's approached. Though we've got a pack of Mustangs, pack of Fangs, absolutely decimating the Wasp, but it's keeping it down low, and that's where you want to be in these type of early rounds. You don't want to be in first place. Baller says, I've got that on lockdown.
We got some trash talk here in the chat here as well. Diana says, thank you for the money from your wave boot. There's definitely some rivalry goes on. One play Diana could try, and this is a high risk play, is when we get to the later rounds where there are huge experimental units, Diana could jump drive everything to Baller's board, because Baller also has his army positioned pretty far forward, and if you're putting stuff in your opponent or opposing opponent's boards, you have this wider area all the way in the back for you to deploy. So Diana can essentially put all these wasps with a few crawlers at the front and just try to take Baller out at the very end.
Yes, that's like sort of the area that I would like to go. You know, we've got to get some more levels, though, out of these guys in order to gain that ability to survive as well as do the damage that needs to be done.
This is crazy. All right. While we're just been talking about Wood and Diana, maybe let's take a look at the other players. What is Steelsane doing this game?
Well, he's still sticking with Mustang support. He's pulled out a hacker this time around, level 1. Not going to do too much of anything, but we're not seeing too much on what he's spending his money on. He's keeping it secret, keeping it safe.
I mean, I don't mind if he just goes straight into a hacker carry with shield bubbles. Right now, he has that single fortress. It is being hacked right now. But I feel like a hacker shield with a stronger Mustang carry could actually work really well into this board, considering most of his opponents are either going air or just going Mustangs themselves.
Yes, sir. Diana is still holding strong here. Both towers are gone. Got a little bit of the AI worms coming out. The Overlord comes in to play cleanup per se, but still gets dropped. Worms got nothing better to do than walk around the field. They're still AI, so they're worth a good bit of points if you can get them down. Nevertheless, Baller's got the Overlord as well as Mr. Woot with his Overlords. Just going to play a little bit of cleanup here on the AI and garner that much money.
All right, let's talk about meta strategy here for Diana. So in order for Diana to win, Hack Manic cannot win first place. If Hack Manic wins first place in the other game, then there's no way for Diana to win.
Because
if Diana is we'll see. Like, I don't believe she has the ability to win this round, but we'll see. She is going with a very potent strategy, but it's just a distracting Woot here is just causing too much problems. But she can still get up to around the 6,000, hopefully 7,000 range in terms of points, and maybe she'll get this back. We don't know.
Hey, by all means, you know, it is anybody's game. It can change on a dime, on a swivel. It does not matter. It's just a matter of getting your units to survive and survive long enough. With all these things, though, that's going to tie some things up here, especially because we've still got a big amount of boats coming through, like a train down on...
I know. This is like the whole army. Like, Wood is just like, I don't care about my base. What base?
Right.
I have a new base now.
Man, she is just going straight into those wasps. Only one tech, just to keep it down low. because eventually, once you start putting like 2 or 3 techs on a unit, that's when it really starts to carry. It's one part of my ability with those marksmen. Like, I don't really do the range as of yet. I get the smaller, like a quick reload, or we get those best partners out, you know, or shooting squad rather, to get a bunch of fangs and whatnot. Just really build and develop your army, get some levels, and then you bring out the range and the elite. That really turns the tide of battle. They never expect it.
Oh yeah.
All right.
One other thing that you can never expect is when multiple players start to turn on you in an FFA game. So just this round, we saw 2 missile drops on the Baller's Mustangs. I think this probably because of players realizing he's currently in the lead and he will continue to be in the lead unless somebody do something against it. So double missile drop on the Ballers. Still got a pretty sizable squad of Mustangs now, triple tech. Perfect for dealing with these wasps.
Yeah, as soon as those wasps come into range, they are absolutely deleted. Though we've got some lock-ons here with, oh, this AI army's coming in the way of these overlords. Oh, and a Phantom Ray? Oh, the AI, okay.
Ray. So the AI gives and the AI takes.
Phantom Ray, I was like, oh, are we going to see some Phantom Ray spray here? And they said, nah, not today, not today. Only AI has that type of ingenuity.
All right, Baller is running away with this game, partially because he has no neighbor on his left-hand side, and which means the only neighbor he has to contend with is Mr. Steel saying here.
Whose army is looking pretty easy. He's going into the hackers. Would like to see some levels on those guys. He's dealing with a little bit from Mr. Baller here, trying to make sure that he gets a little bit of love on that there tower. Oh, wow. Wow. The cascade of fangs coming out to help deal with the side panel here. Everybody's a critic when it comes down to this type of attack. Will it be enough? I mean, we're not putting any sort of techs on these fangs, but they are level 3.
Yeah, I mean, the fans, they're just delaying at best and then feeding experience. One of them gets sold, possibly to fund the next technology. All things considered, I feel like Diana is still holding on her own. Is
very much,
very aggressively mobile beaconing things towards the middle to get as much resource as possible. Right now at round 6, these supply ships do give you 100 supplies each. And I think Diana is probably going to get at least 2, if not 3 of them. But that doesn't help, right? You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not getting points on the board because none of your units are actually left standing at the end of the round, that's not going to help you. So I'm still holding out for Diana just quickly that jump drive card and move out his swaps to somebody else's board. Maybe Ballers.
Just to help take over that lead there and guarantee a win. But, you know, again, Mr. Baller's got those triple tech Mustangs in preparation in case that does tend to happen. We've been towered by, a pack of crawlers that have come in from Mr. Steelsane.
Mr. Steelsane.
He says, okay, I hear you, Mr. Whoop, and we're going to make sure that this does not come to be.
Oh, Diana is between a rock and a hard place. It's not good.
On the opposite side, obviously, you know, you can't jump to that. On the right side, you're getting pincered by a little bit here from Steelsane. On the left, or the right from Mr. Whoop, hard. And then on the left now, Mr. Steelsane, you know, absolutely, you know, just trying to be as annoying as possible. Oh, that fire was perfect for all of Whoop's or Baller's Mustangs, starting to put him towards the lead here. The hacker, I tell you, when you can convince the units to fight for you, there ain't nothing you can't do.
So now looking at this board, and I got this interesting idea for our future FFA tourney. I did ask Bearlike at some point if there's any plans to do 2v2 in an FFA style. And his response was 2v2 has way too many ways for abuse, and it might just not be as fun of a game mode. But that's not going to stop us from hosting a tournament where we specifically designate players to be in a sort of alliance. Of course, the army will still engage with each other's army, but they can strategically place it around that. I mean, that would be a pretty interesting idea, wouldn't you say?
Oh, very much so, especially with the ability of mobile beacons and movement from,
Oh yeah.
you can make some pretty tricky plays. I would love to see, redeployment popped up here and there and everywhere, every turn to just try to move those units that cannot be moved. And again, I would love to see flanking on certain parts. Like, hey, I'm going to go something that can't shoot up. Just move your guys over that are air units, and we'll have it go and chase around and see what comes of it. Like some worms.
All right,
just...
Hojo Horse is here. Diana said enough is enough. Enough with this bow flank. Let's go.
Oh, but there is a lot of boats backing these bad boys up. And there's no AI to help out, and towering our boy up, but he is getting torn up here, right and left. Those guys, Wasp, are going in.
No, Diana's doing well here, but one thing we didn't exactly talk about is the beautiful mobile beacon movement. So what Diana did is he's got all his Wasps lined up on the side, but he's also got 2 blobs of Wasps going through the middle, taking down towers. So if you look at the supply gain this round, Diana actually is in the lead right now with 540. So that is a beautiful maneuver with these units. I mean, she is just deadly with these Wasps.
Very much so.
Now she's able to clean all of these Woot's army, and now moving upward, there's still a pack of Mustangs left over, and I wonder...
Oh, towered at the worst time.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Once you know that the Wasp play is coming out, and you get those Mustangs going, there isn't much, when it comes to those things that they can't do. Other than survive fire. They have a real hard time with that. War crimes all day. All right, we've got... I would have liked to see laser sights, on the Wasp. Try to get some outranging going on, but by all means, she's going to distract, it seemed, with those crawler boys. Again, we're going to move on down. But that electromag is going to put a stop to a lot of these Wasp tech. You can't shield them, so there ain't really much you can do to prevent that spell from hitting. And boy, will it hit. Oh, was there a javelin available? Somebody's got a javelin out.
I think so. Wait, was it a javelin or is it just missiles?
Oh, just missile. My apologies.
Just missile. Yeah, I think it's just the cooldown coming back from the last time they had missiles. Last time everybody missiled Baller, but this time everybody else said, "Hey, Boo, you're being an ass. So here's a missile for you."
There's a lot of missiles also going out and about here.
I know we've been covering Diana Woot rivalry all game this round, but I think it's worth pointing out that Steel Thing is slowly catching up with the Shield Hacker Mustang comp that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's a very strong comp,
Lots of HP to go through, very strong against giant units, and the Mustangs themselves can take care of every other small unit.
Mm-hmm. And then up there in Baller, facing down the AI Worm, you got a couple of high-level Raidens out and about, but isn't enough.
Baller should be able to get this. It is a level 5 Raiden.
Yeah, but once those start getting away from hitting the chaff, it's going to start smacking it up. And even at 90k HP, there she goes.
Ooh, it's the crawler production. Like, once you get rid of the chaff clear and the Raiden is shooting 3 crawlers at a time.
Let's turn back up. Diana has pretty much fallen to Woot's over our lords, yeah. And then Steel Sing, with his slow units crawling ever closer. Is he going to hack this big worm up here? Yes, but due to its experimental effect, goes down. We got a little bit of Diana's Wasp left, but again, Steel Sing takes it out. Oh, and that is
Ow.
game.
Closing the game at round 8. Nice. If anything we learned today is that the Hacker Mustang comp is actually the real OG comp, because every single game that we watched, the winner had Hacker Mustangs. It doesn't matter what other players had, just go Hacker Mustangs. Oh, wow. I mean, even though Diana did not take a good game here, I think she is the winner in my heart. All right, while we wait for the scores to come in, maybe let's put the scoreboard on the screen here so we can see